I've made it no secret that I am not a big fan of the stock Joy-Con grip for the Nintendo Switch. Sure, it allows you to emulate using a traditional controller, but you're losing the comfort and freedom of using a Joy-Con in each hand in exchange for something that is honestly just not very comfortable with a terrible grip. Now, my first recommendation is just use a Pro Class controller instead, but those cost $60, and if you just want a regular grip that's cheaper, what other better options are out there? So let's talk about the best Joy-Con grips you can get for your Nintendo Switch. Now, the first design I want to talk about is probably the most common one you'll find aside from the official Nintendo ones, and that's the PowerA Comfort Grip. Now, obviously this one here has a Splatoon design going on the front, and aside from that though, you might think it looks pretty much the same as the Nintendo one, until you take a look at the back. The grip is actually a lot more different on these ones. First off, they're shaped to be a bit more curved and actually fit into your hands just a lot more naturally and comfortably. And more importantly is the fact that it's not using the same hard plastic all around like the Nintendo ones are. Instead, it actually has this rubber on the back that is still pretty solid, but it's just a little bit softer and gives a little more push if you decide to grip it tightly, so your hands aren't gonna get worn out nearly as much if you're playing for long periods of time. Now, unlike the Nintendo ones, this one does not come in a charge grip variety, but as you can see, they have released a number of different special edition designs. This one is the only one right now that's out, which is for Splatoon. It's technically only exclusive to GameStop. You can find it online, but people are reselling it for a lot more money. Don't fall for it. They do, however, have other designs you'll be able to pick up coming out soon that you can grab online, for instance, for Legend of Zelda or Mario. So don't pay extra for these. Go ahead and pre-order one of those and grab them when they come out. Now, another grip you can get that is a bit more of a Swiss Army knife option for the Switch is the Nyko Power Grip. Now, first off, just talking about the comfort level of this thing, it is similar to the PowerA one in that the back grips are a little more curved, so it's more comfy for your hand, but it does still have a hard plastic all around, so that can get a little annoying, but still an upgrade over the Switch design. What makes this one special though is the very large number of additional functions and powers that it has. First off, this is a charge grip, so it is going to charge up your Joy-Cons at the same time, provided that you keep this thing itself fully charged up. A really interesting addition to that though is it actually has a USB out, so you can use it as a battery bank to charge other devices as well, for instance, maybe your cell phone. And that's where the other major point of this case comes in mind, is that you actually have a little clip that you can place on the front of it to hold your phone. Now, the main reason for this is if you're playing something like Splatoon 2, where you can make use of the Nintendo phone app for multiplayer, this is gonna give you a way to rig it up and still have a controller all in one situation at the same time, and you can even charge your Joy-Cons and your phone simultaneously. Also, one other kind of interesting bit is that the front here is actually a storage case where you can put Switch games and SD cards for additional places to keep them when you're, on the move. Now, while it does have a whole bunch of extra little functions that are pretty cool, there are some downsides about this grip that we do have to talk about. First off, this is the most expensive grip option out there for the most part. I mean, it's still cheaper than grabbing a Pro controller. It's even cheaper than grabbing some of the third-party wired controllers, but compared to getting like just a Nintendo grip or the PowerA grips, you are spending a little bit more for this thing. The other problem is the fact that the actual latches where the Joy-Cons go into aren't very strong. It's just enough resistance to where the Joy-Cons will stay in place, but every time that you add or remove them, it seems to get just a little bit weaker. Now, if you're a very calm player, this is not that big of a problem. But if you're the kind of person that gets agitated, you're gonna start holding your controller, moving it around a lot, but adding a lot more force, there's actually a distinct possibility that you could pop these things out of place while playing, which is a pretty big problem. So the answer is this: either be a calm player and grab one of these, or put your Joy-Cons in and never remove them so the resistance stays at full power at all times. Otherwise, might want to look at one of the other options out there. Now, as a third option for a grip, we could go the opposite direction. Both Nyko and PowerA are recognizable names when it comes to gaming accessories, the things you can trust. You could also, instead of looking for quality third-party options, instead just go for the cheapest stuff out there. Now, if you look online, there is a flooded market of different grip designs coming from different companies that are somewhere in China or Europe, just making very cheaply made grips. Or you can go a little more creative and find something on Etsy like this. Now, admittedly, if the main premise here is to look at grips that are more comfortable than the one you get with the Switch, this actually isn't the best answer, but they're actually really kind of cool looking. I mean, you'll find so many of these things on Etsy where people have just 3D printed different controller grip designs. They don't actually add any back grips. It's really just a way to kind of connect your two controllers together. But for display purposes or having something that's just a very different design, these are actually really cool and really cheap to mention. I mean, most of these 3D printed designs are gonna cost you at most $10. So if you're just looking for a little variety in your collection, this is actually worth taking a look at. So there are some of the best grip options you can get for your Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. Like I said earlier though, honestly in my opinion, it's just better to save up and grab a Pro controller instead. There is just so much that thing has to offer. And honestly, I still think the Joy-Cons are at their best if you're just using one in each hand comfortably. But if you want that kind of middle option, if you want a classic controller experience, not spend 60 bucks all at once, these are some great choices that are gonna beat out the grip that comes with a Nintendo Switch normally.